welcome everybody. I've got 6:30 and we are going to open the public hearing. We have two items up for discussion today at the public hearing. This hearing is for citizen input on A, the rezoning request. We have Courtney Link, agent on behalf of the Woolfolk, Hammond, and Collins owners of the property on South 3rd Street. They would like to request a zoning change from R1 single family to R3 planned development. Also on for public input is the Merrimack Specialty Company. They're requesting a conditional use permit for Fireworks City at number 12 Frenchman's Bluff Road. So anyone who would like to speak specifically to these two items that will be coming up later in our meeting is welcome now to step up to the microphone and state your name and what your concerns or input is. We'll take a few minutes to see how this goes.
Hello, I'm Tom Dixon with Merrimack Specialty Company, and I just want to let you all know that this is the same location we've operated for a number of years on the Turbo property. Same people involved in operating it, and in the same manner that we've operated in the past. So if you have any questions about location or our business or fireworks industry, I'd be glad to answer them now whenever it's appropriate during the meeting.
Okay, so you're on consent. That'll all be passed with the consent agenda, but if anybody has a question now.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sounds like you're good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, if anybody wants to speak to either of these items, now would be the time. We won't spend a whole lot of time on the public hearing. We'll move on to the meeting, okay?
I'm Adam Cockrum. I'd like to speak about the rezoning from R1 R3. My property backs up to that and I'm against it. There's currently no site plan, so there's nothing stating what's exactly going to be put in. 3rd Street, already really congested with all the housing and everything. There's no room to make the road any bigger. And actually, from my understanding, we don't have easements to even put sidewalks in. So foot traffic is going to be on the street or through people's lawns. Also, it's surrounded by the park in R1 in an old part of town, and has been R1 forever. So I'm against it. And also, if you speak with Jeff Taylor, and I spoke with some of his officers before, highest call volume in Troy is high density population areas like apartments and, well, one of our hotels. So I really don't want that in my backyard. And I also have fear of it degrading my property value. I've been a resident for over 30 years. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Richard Steen, and I live on 3rd Street, across where this proposal is going to take place. The only concern I had, and I did do a little bit of discussion today about it with the mayor, and he explained some things to me. It says here they're going to change redistrict from single family to multifamily. And I don't really have a big problem with that, other than going up and down the highway, 61, 70, 40, we're seeing these huge 3- and 4-story apartment buildings. I just want to make sure that that's not what this is going to be. Does anybody know that for sure?
So they haven't submitted a development plan yet, so we don't have anything to really even discuss at this point. This is just to get the zoning changed.
Okay.
Once it's changed, if it changes, then the contract will be submitted. Then they'll have to submit a site plan to planning and zoning.
Okay, I see.
And go through that process.
Okay.
And once that's accomplished and planning and zoning is satisfied, then it'll come to the Board of Aldermen for a vote.
I see. Okay, very good. That answered my question. Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thanks.
Just like the last time, if it fails to, well, if it gets rezoned to an R3, there's no regulation on how much they can put there, or how high they go, how low they go, or anything else. Your easements and everything else don't apply, along with your property laws, property values, everything else that you've assessed. Your assessment value on the property itself is completely illegitimate. How can you assess the value of a property that's not yours? How can you assess a tax value on a property that's not yours? How can you put property tax on something that's not yours? Note, every time that you disregard me or don't look at me or not pay attention, you're violating your own code of ethics, Constitution, and a whole bunch of other stuff. You guys are set up here to be the most informed people here in the county, in the city, okay? In order to do that, you actually have to know what's going on in the world, which you seem to be closed off. There's been a ton of people that have come up here asking you guys for help, asking you guys to you know.
I would ask that you keep your comments during this. This is a public hearing for the rezoning.
It's definitely a public hearing for
So-
you guys.
So please keep your comments pertaining to this during the meeting if you want to make
I
comments
am
about it.
pertaining to this because this pertains to everybody. All right, what you guys don't understand is there's a system called MERS, Mortgage Electronic Transfer System. Now, I can go through and explain how it works, but it's illegal. All right, per Missouri law, every mortgage should last 5 years. All right. So, that being said, it is illegal. How they do this is they keep swapping you around to servicers. They're not the mortgage company, they're not the bank that you're assigned with, they're actually identity thefts. Every single one of them is. And you guys play off that identity theft to collect taxes. You do the same thing with motor vehicles, cars, anything that you attach a value to, a number, a code, anything like that, you tax, you regulate. All right, here we go back to where taxation without representation is theft. All I'm trying to say is you should read your laws, understand what's going on, and do the job as it applies. Not make up phony laws, phony statutes, BS that anybody can come up with. You guys have no more power than a Burger King. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you have a Dun & Bradstreet number, you're a corporation, you're not even a government entity. All right, you know that pledge you guys all stand up for? All right, that's a maritime flag. It's underneath maritime law. We are in a republic, not a democracy. For the republic for which you stand, one nation under God. If you can't understand, the reason you guys probably can't understand or interpret the Constitution the way it's written out is you probably haven't picked up a Bible. And I'm not here to be a Bible-thumping salesman or anything like that. I'm here to tell you there's a book you should probably read. And maybe you should dive into the ones that are backed by it, or the ones that reference it.
Okay, we need to get back to the rezoning.
I'm getting back to that.
Please hurry.
All right. So what you're doing by playing with these people's property values, rezoning, and asking them the permission to what they can just do on their own, it is absolutely absurd.
So you're in favor of the rezoning or opposed to it?
I'm opposed to most of the rezoning. I'm opposed to this whole board.
Very good.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in. Anybody else want to speak to this issue at hand?
Good evening. I'm Courtney Lake, and I just wanted to address a couple things that were brought up, the concerns. One, as you said, this is strictly a rezoning of the property, and then the site plan will have to be brought by the potential buyer. At the planning and zoning meeting, it was discussed that roughly the site plan with all the sewer and engineering plans, it'll be $65,000 to do the site, to an official site plan, give or take. So obviously they're not going to spend that money until it's rezoned. I just wanted to address a couple things, whereas I know a lot of people are apprehensive about multifamily, but as a realtor and a property manager, I can tell you that Troy's in desperate need of good quality rental housing. Just last month, I had one property come available. I had 28 applications for that one property. So 27 people are still looking. 7 of the 8 were living with family members because they couldn't find a good rental home. So anyway, I can send out some information. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to address it.
Thank you. I think we're going to close the public hearing if no one else has anything to say. Is this turned on? Do we bump this? You're okay? All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Thank you all. And we will proceed with the regular meeting. We have a quorum present. I want to thank everybody for being here. If you'll rise and join me in the pledge, I appreciate it. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I want to take a moment to welcome our newest employee. Today is the first day for our new city clerk, Carla Ayala. She's here with us this evening. I also want to take a minute to thank our staff, the admin staff, all the ladies, and especially Caitlin Nickmeyer for filling in her absence, doing a great job as interim. So really appreciate the hard work by everybody. And that brings us to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Steve Jones, second by Alderman T. Kemper. Any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to remove the minutes from the meeting on April 15th.
Okay, anything else? April 15th minutes. So I have a motion and a second to approve the consent with the exception of the April 15th minutes. We still good with that? I mean, the motion and second.
Yeah.
All right. Call roll, please.
Jones?
Yes.
G. Kemper?
Yes.
Tudor?
Yes.
Norman?
Yes.
Corner?
Yes.
Lifer?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, the minutes. Would you like to address those minutes?
It has to do with bill number 1393. Brian, I have been contacted by a few citizens that when we voted this bill in, we all voted it no, which would have made it dead. And then we voted on the bill afterwards, so it technically would not be passed. So something probably needs to be done to make that correct.
So say that again?
So in the first part, we all voted no, after it was read twice, which would make it a dead bill, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was discussed for the changes, and then it was still the same bill, which was number 1393, that was then voted and broken the tie by the mayor. But that bill was already dead and not to be voted on. And I've had quite a few people call me and question me, and my answer was I would bring it up in our meeting.
Okay, we had a motion to amend, and what was passed, what passed or what failed was the original bill, but the amended bill is what we voted on that passed, so.
But that
I'm not
was
sure if the
after it was
amendments
already
made a
voted
difference.
6-0.
So your suggestion is to resubmit the bill?
I think it has to be correct.
We voted on the amendment, did we not?
But we voted on the amendment after it was already dead.
I
It
don't
was-
remember, I don't remember these.
By this, it says we voted
What's it, 1391?
1393,
I don't-
page 2.
Yeah, but I'm,
So we voted no. Then there was a discussion on changing it, amending it, and then we voted again. But it was already voted no, so that bill was already done.
So I'm looking at the minutes. So if I can have a minute.
Sure.
I think that was 1393, or were you?
1393, page 2.
Okay. Then we made a motion in a second to change the discussed, and a vote was taken, and that's when it was 3-3 with the mayor breaking the tie.
But that was still in the same 1393 of the ordinance that was already voted no on.
Okay, and then I'm looking at the third paragraph, then I guess after the one I just read about,
If in theory, if 1391 is the very, very first one that we amended and changed, that went to 1393. We voted no on 1391, we voted no on 1393. Technically, we should have a new bill for the amendments that we should have been voted on, because this one was voted no.
Wouldn't that be 1394?
No, 1394
you're out
was the adopting ordinance.
on what? On the,
Well, it was to adopt the state, to accept the code of ordinance, to put our ordinance into the, so,
Yeah, so I think that's right. I think we need to vote again.
With a new number,
What's that?
with a new ordinance number.
Right, a clean ordinance.
you want to look, I mean, the reason we voted on the first bill was because it was read twice at the prior meeting, and after the second reading,
Do we read
there
it
was a
again?
motion to modify. So the modifications were made, and then they voted no on the bill as it stood, but yes on the bill as it was amended. I'm not sure,
I'm happy to look into it if we want to discuss it further, but I
So then we
remember.
can table the minutes until the next one? For clarification on that?
I'm not sure it's a minutes issue though.
Agreed.
Right.
you're right, I think this wouldn't be a change of the minutes. It would be, we may have to
Right.
submit another ordinance to clean this
I'm
situation
happy
up.
to look into it. I mean, my memory is limited in terms of what I remember about the order, other than what the minutes said.
Right.
So I don't have any independent memory of that order.
So if I'm understanding, the minutes state exactly what happened. So we would be voting, if we voted to pass these minutes, we would be, the board saying, yes, this is what took place for our record. We can always go back and make whatever changes we need to affecting an ordinance after these are passed.
Correct.
so then do we table?
No, I think we vote on the minutes because the minutes reflect the record of what took place, and these are accurate in that. Now, if we have to modify something to remedy the fact that there's a yes and a no on the same bill number, we can do that later. But the minutes, you all are attesting the fact that this is what took place, which is an accurate description of what took place.
It is, but can it be tabled until the clarification, because then we know for sure that we're voting in the way that we should be?
We'll have to bring
Because it's not gonna
another
hurt.
item
Right.
to the board for approval that would remedy this, but tabling these won't change anything. This is still a record of what took place. I think you need a vote on these minutes because we need a record of how everything came down. Then we can go back and make whatever changes next month that we need to.
Brian, is that what you would
Yes.
suggest?
Yeah. I don't know that this is necessarily a legal issue, but yes, I agree. The minutes part. The minutes are recording what actually happened. So as long as there's not a disagreement as to what actually happened, I think you should go to the minutes.
So then next month we'll be discussing 1393 and,
Well, it would be it would have a whole new ordinance number, just like 1391 came back as 1393. 1393 will come back as a different one.
Correct. Yeah, we have, the ordinance that we allegedly passed is already finished, so it would be resubmitted.
Yeah,
There is no ordinance that was passed.
Yes, it was.
That's what I need to look into.
yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, so they believe it was passed, I'm gonna say it wasn't. That's why I'm saying, should we table these minutes? Because
Oh,
Well, the minutes wouldn't change what took place. I mean, this is just a recording of what happened.
but Mayor, I think what she's indicating that the minutes, it says that it passed.
Correct.
So that would not be a correct statement depending on what happened.
Well, it
Correct.
passed at that time.
But it didn't pass because it was
We don't
dead.
actually know whether it passed or not. yes, table would be my suggestion based on
Okay.
that.
All right, can I get a motion to table the minutes until next month?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on it? We have a motion by Alderman Dooner, second by Alderman Norman. Call the roll whenever you're ready.
Dooner,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Lifer,
Yes.
Deekemper,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Okay, citizen comments. First up, I have Denise Cox, Shielded by Faith Ministries.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for your time. So I'm Denise Knox. A little bit of history is I have worked with 2 different ministries. I got the Promises of Hope Ranch, which is a reentry recovery center in Lincoln County, and also the Shielded by Faith Recovery Center. I partnered with Beauty for Ashes, and we got that recovery center going here on Main Street here in Troy. I'm no longer with either one of those ministries. I've started off on my own, and my next project is I'm looking to open a sober living home. So it would be for the graduates from the ranch, from the center, and also from the Dream Center. I've worked closely over the years with Emil and the Dream Center gentlemen. And like the lady had said earlier, housing is a huge issue. And a lot of these people that are in recovery, some of these programs are just 6 months, some are 9 months. The center is a year, but sometimes it's just not long enough for them to be ready to go back to where they were before, to be put out into society, yet they need some extra time for continued recovery. So that's what I'm hoping to do again here in Lincoln County, here in Troy, is to open the sober living home. It would be for men and women. And for those of you that know me, it's everything I do is faith-based. It's about inner healing. It's about starting from the inside and working our way out. So I'm just going around to the different cities here in the community, because I don't know right now where we're going to find a place. We found a place, but being a brand new ministry since I started on my own, we've just kind of got to build up our kind of a payment base and reputation here before I get settled in a place of my own. But I've worked closely with the chief, I've worked with the sheriff, we work close with law enforcement and the community, and with the with the addiction problem in this community, I think we really need more resources, and so that's where my heart lies. So I just wanted to let you know what I'm doing instead of waiting until the last minute and having to do planning and zoning and working day with everybody like that. So, did anybody have any questions? No?
Sounds like a good plan. I've talked to some Shielded by Faith people who said they need a spot like that. So
Yeah, it's
hope that works out well for you.
definitely needed. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Walter Wright.
Good evening, everybody. Walt Wright, 1001 Beeman Lane. Here about 2 issues. One's Beeman Lane. You guys have worked out there in the last 3 months. The road is probably worse than it's been before you worked on it and that it's ever been. It's washboard all the way up. The potholes are unreal. The water still has to run across the road to get there. Read in the paper last week that there's a $19 million surplus. Maybe we can fix the road. Jared, what do you think about the road? The only people that drive up and down the road is me and him, 5-10 times a day.
Am I allowed to talk?
What's your opinion of the road?
I'd say up by the front part where the college is, where it comes over the road, that would be the spot that is the worst.
It's horrible. It never gets fixed. Dave, I've been coming here for 4 years.
Chairman, I've been out there.
You've been out there, yes, and nothing happens. Can you guys please look into this? You guys are the board. It's not happening anywhere else. Can somebody look into this? Other issue is the illegal dump site that's out there that still hasn't been addressed. I was in here 2 months ago on the 18th. told you about the health concerns with my wife. Since then, on April 9th, she was admitted into the hospital. She was in there for 2 days. She got released on 11th. Breathing issues. Released with an inhaler, which didn't work because she couldn't breathe. Doctors down there said it's due to the environment, her environment. She was back in the hospital April 13th, that Sunday. She was released this time with a nebulizer, which is the same thing as an inhaler. It just takes like 10 minutes to work. You don't have to breathe as deep. But she can't go outside without an N95 mask on because of that pile. On April 30th, since we can't get a decent diagnosis out of there, she left her Mayo Clinic. She was up there till May 3rd. She was diagnosed with emphysema, COPD, and ground glass parasites.
Can I caution you just a little bit?
Yeah, you can. What are you going to question me about?
There's pretty strict rules about divulging people's medical information.
Okay, well, you guys need to know this. This is what happens. This is my medical.
I know.
These
I just
are our things.
I want everyone to be aware that.
My wife knows about it, exactly. She can't leave the house, Mayor. She can't leave the house without a
I
mask.
just want you to be aware of the
Okay,
issue.
because of that pot. Yeah, I'm fine with it. She's got a 12 mm spot on her lung now. She has to go back in 3 months. This pile is emitting toxins. One of the doctors says, you need to have it tested. I did. Had a company called AWA come out. They tested our house. They tested outside of our house. And they tested by the pile. Our house registered 480 spores per meter squared, which is low. Outside the house tested 1,970 spores per meter cubed. By the pile, it tested 49,400 spores per meter cubed. The aspergillosis by the pile, which a normal reading outside is about 1,500, it's admitted 35,000. Her toxicology reports, everything. I mean, you guys should have had this thing cleaned up months ago. You've got a letter. You got a letter on the 28th of December, and then never responded to it. On November 21st, Jamie Valentine's the one that did the initial investigation. Basically shut the pile down because it was an illegal dump site. You can't do that in the state of Missouri.
She's with who?
She's with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources Solid Waste.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So she received a message from Heather Johnson, which is the St. Louis Regional Office, that there was a water concern in the city of Troy for yard waste as well. She spoke to Heather Johnson on the 29th to see if the city had relayed a cleanup plan for the waste to her and to see if there were indeed a dumping waste in another location. She informed me that they were not cleaning up the original area and that the city was temporarily placing the waste in another area. That's when you got issued a warning. You got issued a warning on December 28th, 5 months ago. Letter of warning states, dumping or depositing or permitting the dumping and depositing of solid waste on the surface of the ground in an area not permitted by the department is in violation of section 2600-2101. Yard waste not originating on a property has been dumped on the site for disposal purposes without a beneficial use. Required action, dumping the yard waste collected from residents at the site in the current manner for disposal purposes only, with no planned use or considered illegal disposal of solid waste and must cease immediately. Yard waste may not be accumulated on site if there is no end beneficial use. There was no end beneficial use of that pot. Nothing was to be done. It was just put out of sight, out of mind. except for the health of my wife. I don't know, maybe me now. My grandkids, I'm supposed to let them play outside with this illegal pile sitting there. Yard waste must not be used as fill material, according to the section 260.21010 of the solid waste. Only clean fill may be used for that purpose. The city of Troy must develop a plan for managing the yard waste that it collects and include this plan with its response, as well as a plan to clean up the decomposing waste at the site as soon as possible. December 28th. As soon as possible. By January 17, 2024, the city of Troy shall submit documentation that indicates the entity's efforts towards compliance with the violations described above. Didn't happen. No response.
That is not true.
Then why did you get this insufficient response letter on February 29th?
The insufficient response was the letter that we got because we did respond. We did give them what we had. We told them what we were doing.
What did you tell them you were doing?
We went back and cleaned everything up, and we had plans to, our
You
plan.
hadn't at
is-
that time. You didn't clean it up till March of this year. Or
Yes, we have all the documentation. I'm
you
aware of
don't
what
have
took
the
place.
documentation, Ronnie. It wasn't done in December. You did not pull that pile out in December.
Finish your public comment, please.
Well, this is part of my public comment because these people need to know
But
what the
try to
hell's
keep
going
it-
on in this town.
As long as it's true, you.
It is.
Okay.
Sir, could you stop violating his rights? Thank you.
Hey, I got it. All right. This is from the state of Missouri. Everything I got is from the state of Missouri. Insufficient letter. Here, the Missouri Department of Natural Resources has not received a sufficient response to the required actions listed December 18th. I didn't make this up.
We didn't, we
They sent it to
responded.
me.
Yes.
Why
we
did they
did.
send it to me?
Okay, but you said we didn't respond, and that's not true.
That's
We
what
did
this
respond.
letter says.
No, it says the response wasn't what they wanted.
Did not receive a sufficient
Sufficient
response.
response, so
God.
it indicates that we did respond, which we did. We also have a contractor that's supposed to be, on the schedule to pick that stuff up. We also have talked to DNR about doing a solid waste disposal exemption, which we qualify for. We talked to them about shredding it for mulch,
cannot
just like we
shred
always done.
grass. You cannot
Yes,
shred
yes, you
grass.
can. That's not true. I have the documentation.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, I told you, you're welcome anytime to come
Yeah.
up and visit. Please, I
Yeah,
can
but
give you all
apparently
that
everybody
stuff.
I talked to the state isn't relaying this information to me.
Okay, I don't know what they're telling you, but you're welcome to come up and visit with me.
You know, it says right here, even before, you guys are dumping it back over at the original site that you got cited for the stormwater runoff.
That is not true. We
You're not
did
dumping it
get
back at the
cited
city
for it.
building?
Yes, we are, but we did not get cited for that. That's
Yeah, you
something-
did.
No, we did not.
You got cited for water runoff. Well, not cited,
Okay.
I'm sorry. You got a
Okay.
letter of warning.
No, we did not.
I've got it right here.
That's not for that inspection, MS4.
It's dated 2020. City also stores yard waste bags outside until they are picked up to their final destination and taken to a landfill. Yard waste is left exposed to stormwater. No signs of runoff from the water was observed, but the city should consider a BMP to contain the water runoff from the yard waste.
Yes, that's what it says.
Yeah.
We're aware of that.
And then on there, it said, yeah, the yard waste storage area resident. Yard waste is stored until picked up. It was issued by Josh Rivers. He's no longer with the DNR. He works for St. Charles County. I called him too and talked to him. He was under the understanding that the pile got moved to a landfill. It didn't get moved to a landfill. It got moved over to the waste department. It did. It was dumped down in the lower field. Jared, they first went over there, and it's all right probably to talk. They dumped the stuff down at the bottom of the hill, and they continued to dump it down there until it flooded and washed out everywhere, which would have been a major fine. Then they moved it up by me. Now I got this decomposing stuff causing health issues, major health issues, and nothing, They're not, it didn't say you can grind it. It says it's to be removed, not grinded on site. Doctors have told her to make sure she's not even in the area when it's removed because of the spores.
Can we as a board see this documentation that you're receiving, Ron?
Yes.
Thank you.
So is that pile still out there?
The pot's still there, it's pulled out. Actually,
That was gonna be my
Sorry.
question. You said there's a contractor who you guys are working with to remove it. When's it going to be removed?
We,
Weather permitting,
Weather permitting?
waiting for it to dry up. We don't want to do any more damage to the road and the ground.
Yeah, I mean,
so
they pulled it all out.
Hanson's Tree Service has agreed, we've agreed to them to have it taken out. But we're waiting on them to respond. When they get time in their schedule, they're gonna come get it and haul it away.
And that's all been approved
Approved, yes.
with the state?
Well, no, the state has nothing to do with it. We
State has
contracted,
nothing to do with it,
we
okay?
contracted with Hanson's to take it away.
So you didn't send a report to the state, that's what you were doing?
We did,
You did?
yes.
Okay. You sent a report to the state?
Yes.
I guess to this solid waste in St. Louis or solid waste in Missouri?
The Missouri office is of Besson. That's who I talked to last.
Who's that? J.P. Besson?
Besson.
Okay. And you sent him the report? That's
No,
what
there
you-
was no report. We contracted with Hanson's to come get it.
So you didn't send him a report?
I'm working
You
with
just talked to
him. I'm working with him to get an exemption so we can grind our waste and keep it on site. But we have to go through that documentation process first.
Right, which is, yeah, major. But, all right, I will do some more investigation. If you guys got any questions,
Mr.
while I'm up
Mayor.
here? I know it's only comment, but
Just want to clarify one thing.
yes,
There is no $19 million surplus anywhere in
it
the
said in
city.
the paper, I don't know, I just read it, so
It's not true.
it's not
There
true.
is no $19 million surplus.
So you need to call the paper, tell them to retract that next week.
He said right there.
Oh. Isn't that what it said?
Okay.
Hey, just trying to get facts out.
We need to, we need
If you
to,
aldermen got a question, most of you got my phone number. But to you guys, because I don't get any response, we really kind of need to know when this tree company's showing up, because the doctor did tell her not to be there during the removal, because there's going to be so much in the air, you know.
we can let you know as soon as we find out.
And hopefully soon, so maybe we can enjoy our summer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Andrew Menson.
Do you know what indoctrination looks like? Utter lack of human
Excuse me?
decency. Do you know what indoctrination looks like? Do you do any research on, the state of the nation? Do you guys look at any ongoing events? Are you up on any current terms? Do you know the current laws that are being passed? Do you know what's being thrown out? Do you know what's being applied? Do you know current statutes and stuff in Missouri? Do you know what goes on, is my question. And the other part of that is the indoctrination point. Do you know what indoctrination looks like? It's a demoralized, dehumanized, all right? Utter lack and disregard for any moral obligations. A man that's wife is struggling with medical conditions, which I've already covered this before too. He's covered it multiple times. That you're directly responsible due to your inaction. You have a whole city crew that can move this. You have hazmat equipment. You have absolutely everything to do the job and move it. You can shake your head all you want. I've worked in those places. I've worked in landscaping. I've done automotive. I've done heavy equipment. There's not much you can say that's going to tell me any different. But they dumped it there with a Bobcat or some sort of loader, right? They can remove it just the same way. All I'm saying and all I'm asking is that you guys read the laws, read the Constitution, read what you've taken an oath to, that you keep violating every time you take this bench. Every time you get up here and talk to these people, every time you present something to them, you're just basically telling them, I stole all of your money, here's what I'm doing to not give it back to you or not benefit you in the least of regard. And you not getting any sort of regard really helps to that matter. Because you just constantly ignore anybody, don't actually responding. Responding's a big one. And you can say that I haven't given you all the information backing everything that I say, but I have. You've actually told me to stop sending it to you. And the funny part is you should have already read most of this stuff, considering it's the Missouri Constitution, it's the Bill of Rights, it's the Constitution of the United States, it's all the U.S. codes, UCC law, and everything else that you fall under that you just don't seem to care about. Then all those can be applied to you. I accept your oath. Are you denying me due process? Do you know that that is treason? Do you know what your oath is about? It's to uphold and protect the people and make sure that these people have water, food, and a secure place to live. Power, necessities. That's your job. You can look at me like that all you want. It's in the Constitution, it's in the Charter. You can read through the Missouri Constitution, it's right there. You can become a power provider, a utility, any sort of utility provider, communication provider, water provider, which you already are. You can do all of that with the people's money that you've already stolen. Maybe give back to them. Maybe actually budget the city correctly. Maybe stop using flat budgeting and lying about the money that you have. That kind of sucks. Everybody here can see that. You put it in paper. It's on video. Keep them coming, because all you're doing is lining yourself up for treason and everything else that comes after that. And all you're doing is making people mad. And it takes a lot of courage to stand up here and tell you that, because there's a lot of people that have just given up because you refuse to listen to anything that they have to say. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, mainly because you refuse to actually uphold the law. You refuse to follow the laws. When I talk about indoctrination, do you know that every time that you pass a bill that's repugnant to the Constitution, it's breaking the law, it's violating the law, then every time you send one of his officers out there to enforce that statute, mandate, rule, limit, whatever you want to call it, you're putting his officers at risk enforcing something that's not a crime, not a broken law, nothing else. You're trying to get them to sign up to a contract that they're later going to pay on, which later pays the police department in your city. You also get a bond on the other side of that because you traffic their person. And when I say traffic their person, you've literally trafficked their person with their social security number, with bonds and everything else that's put on the person when they're put in jail and booked, let alone the court system behind that. You don't know how all these systems operate. You should really look into it. You're supposed to be the most informed person here, and clearly you are not. I don't know how many times you have to get slapped on the wrist to figure that out. I don't know how many times people have to keep filing paperwork, have to keep setting up freaking sunshine law violations. And every ethics violation. You should violate your own code of ethics every time you're here. There's video to prove it.
You need to kind of wrap this up. We're running out of time.
It's wrapped up.
Thank you.
Do the job.
Okay, that comes, citizen comments is over. We now move to item I believe. Discuss and approve request as recommended by Planning and Zoning Commission, rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential District to R3 Planned Development Multifamily Residential District, parcel number 15702500300601100. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Jones, a second by Alderman Lyford. Any discussion on this item?
I think we have to listen to our citizens that are coming to our planning and zoning and coming to our meetings, and because there is no site plan and nobody really knows what it is, it's an open-ended invitation to what could go there. And I think until there's more information, that it shouldn't be approved.
I disagree because they won't do a site plan until it's rezoned. They'll have a second chance.
But once it's rezoned, there's no limits.
Yes, there is, because everything that's done there, we have to approve.
Not if it falls within multifamily and it falls within. If it falls within that, we cannot vote no for it. We've been there, we've done that.
The site plan has to be approved, doesn't it?
I'm sorry?
The site plan has to be approved for the project?
Correct.
Right. Or they can't do anything, right, Dave?
What's that?
Or they can't do anything, correct, Dave?
Correct.
It's just like on Boone Street, that those apartment complexes. Those are zone multi. That fell within there. They're 3 stories high. We could not vote no because it fell within those regulations, correct, Dave?
They follow the ordinance. As long as they
And
follow the
so-
ordinance, you can't vote no.
Correct, because once it's R3, anything that falls within that can go there.
There's a certain set of ordinances designed.
But R2
with
and R1
criteria.
both fall under that, right?
What's that?
R2 and R1 fall under that also?
Yes, all three of them.
All three of them.
But if they don't follow the ordinance, we can't approve the site plan.
Understood. But now, like on Boone Street with our 3-story apartments, we couldn't have changed that because we have no ordinance against that.
The zoning
that
on
was a
Boone
concern
Street
for-
was approved back in 2000. It sat there for like 22 years.
I'm not debating that we did that part, I'm talking about what went in there. The 3 stories was a concern for the fire department, for all emergencies, the entrance, the exit, all of that, the bus stops. We could not do anything about that or change it because it fell within the ordinances and our guidelines, correct?
On straight R3 zoning, yes, that's what Boone Street was.
Right.
This is a PD.
And what's the difference?
PD, the P&Z, and the Board of Aldermen has more control over it. Regular R3, you wouldn't need a top lot, a small park, but on a PD, you could request that. And if they don't want to do it, you can deny it based on that request.
Are we in the middle of doing though, where the company where you've been asking for 4 years to, the comp study that's gonna tell what the zoning should be across the town anyway?
It's part of the process.
So wouldn't it hold off and see what they say because that's the only R3 around there?
No, because that won't take place for another 1.5 to 2 years, and that was discussed up front. We can't stop all building for the next 2 years.
No, but you can put on hold changing something from R1 family to R3 multi.
I don't know.
To a street that's a
legally you can do
there's an in and out, that's it. There's no, they can't go through the park to connect, correct, to Monroe?
that. Correct.
So the only entrance and exit is gonna be
off
on
of
Third Street, which is already congested as it is because that's where the buses come through.
Well, it says in here that there's supposed to be multiple entrances, so there's only gonna be one off Third Street then?
When I tried to do that report, I'm talking about multiple exits and entrances. Once they come out on Third, they could go north or south. I should have reworded it and stated they would have 1 or 2 exits out onto Third Street. But then they got multiple routes after they get on Third Street.
A north and a south street, that's it.
And you go south and hit the roundabout at 61, come back up North Lincoln, or you go north on Third Street, hit Monroe Street.
That there is no room, or is there room for sidewalks later for all the potential children that will be living in those apartments?
You could request the sidewalks on the plan development site plan. I think what Gary was talking about, or Adam, I'm sorry. He's talking about there's no easements north of that.
Right, so on Third Street, if there's kids walking to a bus stop or walking home, there's no sidewalks from Monroe down Third.
Correct.
So that becomes a safety concern.
Could, or the school could put a bus stop there at that project. And P&Z's talked about that on previous projects.
How would they protect the cemetery also? Because that's an issue for Troy City.
Could request a fence up there.
It is a concern. There's lots of vandalism and it happens from the houses and the multifamily around it.
Okay, Alderman Doonard is obviously opposed to this. We have a motion to set on the floor. Does anyone else want to speak? Anyone on the board want to speak to either affirming it or opposing it?
The school buses run Third Street. There's no reason why they wouldn't put a stop there whatsoever. There's also access from East Pershing to Main Street for traffic. The buffer zone on either side, north and south.
Is there no easement for a sidewalk? You want to put buses through?
That's what.
Any other alderman have any input on this before we call the roll? Okay, we have a motion, a second on the floor. Call the roll, please.
Jones,
Yes.
Lifer,
Yes.
DeKemper,
Yes.
Dooner,
No.
Norman,
Yes.
Horner.
Yes.
And motion carries, thank you. Item I, discuss and approve job description for court clerk, part-time, at grade 113, non-exempt. Can I get a motion on this item?
That's item J.
Yes, item J, can you get a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Horner, second by Alderman Norman. I think we have the judge here to speak to this.
Certainly, this is a position that's in this year's fiscal budget. It's in the projected fiscal budget for the next year. It is a position that was previously staffed. Annie Williams worked, split her time between the police department and the court. Police department and the court. A few years ago, the legislature passed a bill that prohibited any employee of the police department from working in the court system. So the position has been vacant. There's been some new requirements that OSCA, the Office of State Court Administrators, have imposed on the court system for filing and record keeping in the courts, and it would be very helpful to have this position filled.
Anybody have any questions on this item?
So it'll be a new position and there were
That's correct, yes.
seeking to fill.
So, sorry, you're creating a position for then the budget year that's coming up? Or
It's
you're wanting
actually
to put it-
it's in this fiscal year's budget.
Okay.
This, when we had to relieve Annie of her court-related duties, this is carried on in every fiscal year's budget since then, including this current year's budget. So we would like to go ahead and make the hire as soon as we can get through the
Yeah,
process.
so for clarity, you're just voting on the approval of the job description, the way it's placed in here. They put together what those duties would be, the grade that they would be paid at, and those type of things in your book there. So, yeah, we've approved the money, position's there, they're just asking for approval of what's being described as what the job details would be. Anybody else have any questions, concerns? Okay, I lost track of who made the motion. You got that? All right, you can call the roll, please.
Horner,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Dooner,
Yes.
DeKemper,
Yes.
Lifer.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, item K, we need to probably table this till next month. The city attorney didn't get a chance to kind of go over this. Got a few details we want to tweak on that, if that's okay. I'd take a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Norman to table until next month. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
DeKemper second.
Okay, thank you. Call the roll, please.
Norman,
Yes.
DeKemper,
Yes.
Lifer,
Yes.
Dooner,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Horner.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes, thank you. Item L, discuss and approve special event from Lincoln County Farmers Mutual for a Customer Appreciation Day. Brian Howell.
Yeah, for the most part, this is a pretty straightforward, typical special event, except for the street closure. And there should be
We do have a
somebody here.
representative from the insurance company here if you'd like to ask any questions, but essentially they're gonna have something on their lot.
And asking for a street closure.
Yeah, if they do want to close, what, Collier?
Just part of Collier.
Yeah.
Mrs. Burkhamper, she would still have access to her parking lot, and we talked to Shiloh Bergmeister, and she would still have access to her portion, that she uses on a daily basis. She would still have that. We're just asking for just the part adjacent to our parking lot. We're gonna already, if it's approved, we've got we're gonna put the fire truck there that's coming, and that way keep it safe for the kids, just to block off just that little part of Collier.
What's the date?
I'm sorry?
The date?
It's June 14th.
Okay, is there any other questions, or I would entertain a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Alderman Dooner and a second by Alderman Norman to approve. Any other questions on this one? Call roll, please.
Tudor,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Horner,
Yes.
Lifer,
Yes.
Teakemper,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Thank you all
Good to
very
go?
much.
Thank you. Okay, I will take a motion to go into closed session for the purposes of legal and personnel.
I'll make that motion.
Ron?
Hold on.
Did you got the note I left you, the taking policy for Officer Perry?
Yeah.
Chris Davidson?
It was on consent.
You got it?
Yeah, I've got it here, that it passed on consent. So, yeah. I'm sorry, where,
I'll second.
did you get that? Norman had a second.